So, it's that time of year again, where I ignore the actual event of the Super Bowl. Apparently this year was kind of a disappointing game. I don't know, didn't watch it. And instead pay attention to the trailers. And like every year, yeah, there was some cool stuff. There was also quite a bit of stuff that I don't have a ton to say about, but there were like 3 or 4 that I actually do have a lot of thoughts on. So, let's go through them one by one. Starting off with Captain Marvel, there's not a lot to say here that I haven't already said. I think most of you know how I'm feeling about this film. I could be wrong, but I suspect this is going to be a pretty fun, but a bit average MCU film, like the 2 Ant-Man films. And if that happens, I don't think that's that bad, because A, it'll still be mostly enjoyable, and B, before I was a bit concerned if it was just alright, because this character's going to play such a big part in the MCU going forward, especially in Endgame, but going back to Ant-Man, if the main performance and the character are great, even if the movie is just alright, I think she can totally work in future team-up films, just like Paul Rudd is Scott Lang. As far as this spot in particular, I'm looking forward to seeing the Fury-Carol friendship develop. That looks like it's going to be fun. I also like that last line. That was a bit of a throwback to the first Iron Man.
Try to keep up.
Damn. Good luck keeping up.
And I gotta say, while this part, which I'm assuming is the final battle, looks cool, I hope it doesn't just become another kind of flashing CGI light show that you don't really feel a ton of investment in and doesn't really seem to have any weight to it. I mean, sure, a bit of that can be fun, but I hope there's a bit more to it, maybe like a more personal showdown. Overall though, I'm excited, but not incredibly excited. Now, time for a speed round of trailers for stuff that I have very little to say about, so we can get to the stuff that I have more to say about. I just gotta acknowledge them, cause hey, that's what this video is. There was a trailer for Hannah, a new show, which looks okay, I guess. But I won't be watching it, cause I've already got an insane amount of TV to catch up on that, realistically, I'm never gonna get through. There was a trailer for $1 Million Mile, which initially seemed like an unintentionally hilarious horror film.
Run as hard as you can, because you're about to be chased by a world-class athlete.
But I think it's a game show, or like an athletic competition show, with LeBron James. Sure. There was a Game of Thrones Bud Light ad, which reminded me of that MCU Coca-Cola ad in the BVS Turkish Airlines thing. I don't know, it's just weird to me to see these kinds of cross-promotions. And I don't really get this one. Like, it wasn't really funny or clever, and like, the Bud Light doesn't save the Bud Light guy, like you'd think would happen in a commercial this ridiculous. It's just like, hey look, we got the dragon effect and the mountain costume. Isn't that something? Am I overthinking this Bud Light ad? Yeah, I am. So, let's move on. There was a teaser for that new animated film coming out, Wonder Park. To be honest, this doesn't look terrible, it just doesn't look like anything exceptional. Like, it looks like a kind of fun kids film, something that kids are really gonna enjoy. But for me personally, there's nothing about this that really makes me want to see it. Then, something I'm actually kind of interested in, scary stories to tell in the dark. There were a bunch of super short ads for this one, and I'm kind of intrigued. This is based on some books that I haven't read, but this film is written by Guillermo del Toro, and it looks interesting. Having not read the books, I don't really know the vibe this is going for. Is it trying to be like a serious horror thing, or more of a Goosebumps kind of thing? Or maybe a mix of like a scarier version of something for kids, kind of like Coraline, tonally? I don't know, but based on the info we have, I'm at the very least intrigued. There was a TV spot for Alita Battle Angel, which is a movie I don't think I'll be seeing. I mean, it's got a good cast, and some of the visuals are pretty great, but a lot of this just looks kind of like a video game to me. And in movies, like mainly ones that are supposed to be live action, I don't love that visual style. As for this trailer though, I did find it kind of amusing that they're really playing up the necessity for you to see this in the cinema. Has to be experienced on the big screen, a 3D IMAX event, from the people who made Avatar. It just felt kind of like someone screaming, please, please come see our movie. We put so much money into it. Please see it. Now, I think the person who had the best Super Bowl experience this year is Jordan Peele, being involved in not 1, not 2, but 3 of the biggest trailers of the night. First, there's the Toy Story 4 trailer, which you know is just a very short clip, but it looks good. I don't have that very personal, nostalgic Toy Story connection that most people have, but this looks fun. I mean, getting Key and Peele for these 2 new characters already has me more excited, and the joke at the end of this trailer actually made me chuckle, out loud, which surprised me a bit. Also, just visually, with the animation and the colors, this looks amazing. I still can't really piece together what the main story of this film is. Bo Peep is back. I think they're maybe going to go on a road trip to find her, and they meet some different characters along the way. Pixar does like that kind of story. And also, this fork thing comes into play, and there's the idea of what makes you a toy and gives you life in this world, which could be kind of interesting. Yeah, I'll probably see this. I'm not dying to see it, but it looks like fun. Then, next on the Peele train, there was a teaser for the new Twilight Zone. I've never actually seen an episode of The Twilight Zone in full, but I know through pop culture and clips here and there what it is, and I'm a big fan of this kind of premise. So I'm definitely interested in what this will look like. Also Peele not only producing it, but as the narrator, come on. And finally, arguably the biggest Peele trailer, or the most Peele trailer, or just another Peele thing, was the second trailer for Us. I mean, I already talked about this film in my most anticipated video, but I'm still incredibly excited. I loved Get Out, and this looks great. This trailer doesn't show that much more of the film. I mean, there's definitely some new footage, but most of the major beats and information are the same. And I haven't been able to put together the overall plot and what all this means and the reveal this is building to, but I like that. A lot. I want to go into the film not knowing that and have it be slowly revealed in probably a terrifying way. If you paused this and looked at all the frames and put everything together, I'm sure you could maybe figure out what the scissors are for and where these clone beings come from and everything, but I don't want to do that. The only thing I think I put together is that something is going on with the little boy, and maybe he sides with the clone family or something. I don't know, but something weird is definitely going on with him. That's all I'm saying. I'm really intrigued. This is still in my top 5 most anticipated films of the year. It comes out in like a month. Can't wait. Then we've come to what I would say are the 2 biggest trailers of the night. Firstly, there's the Hobbs and Shaw trailer, which I was actually surprised by, and how ridiculous and stupid it looked. And that is hard to do at this point, both for a Fast and Furious film and for a Dwayne Johnson film. I guess I was expecting the action to be ridiculous, but everything else not to be turned up to such a degree of over the top, and that kinda caught me off guard. I mean, Idris Elba is playing an actual supervillain. But hey, I love that. The way they play up the ridiculous, cheesy action hero aspects, with their one-liners and everything, I mean, it's intentionally crazy and stupid, and that's what makes it fun. That's the point of this. Dwayne and Statham were easily my favorite part of the last Fast and Furious film, so I'm totally up for seeing more of them. It's a fun buddy cop kind of team up, which I love, and the buddy cops, who aren't really cops, but whatever, are 2 really funny and charismatic actors. This looks mostly like exactly what I was hoping it would look like. Also, great song choice. My only complaint really would be parts of the action. Most of it looks pretty cool. It's the director of Deadpool 2 and co-director of John Wick, and he can do action. But some of the more ridiculous moments look really computer generated, like that car flipping, and I just don't enjoy that as much as the other stuff. And it's not the over-the-top craziness of it, it's just how it looks. Like if there are super ridiculous moments that would never work in real life, or the characters would never survive that, but you know, that's the point, or that's part of the fun, I do not have a problem with it. Like the car driving through the buildings in Furious 7. But when it looks fake as hell, I have trouble enjoying it on that same level. And parts of that action scene on the outside of the building, at least right now, look kinda fake. And so I just enjoy it a bit less. Hopefully they can improve that before the film comes out, or maybe it'll just be a few moments, but mostly, this looks super fun. And then finally, Avengers Endgame. 30 more seconds of Avengers Endgame. Let's just go through this chronologically. Because yes, I am going to overanalyze 30 seconds of new footage. Firstly, we get the Marvel logo opening, which actually features only characters who died in Infinity War, with black and red, because, you know, this new Marvel logo. Now I know they've done this kind of thing before, where they show footage of old MCU films, but coupled with all the other evidence, I feel like this might be a subtle nod to the fact that they'll be time traveling in this film, back to points previously in the MCU, just like the first line of the Infinity War trailer that they originally showed at Comic-Con, was Steve and Tony's moment talking about how they're gonna lose, and then they lost. Then again, I might just be looking too deeply into this opening 2 seconds. I also still love the fact that apparently we're only seeing like the first 15 minutes of the film in all this marketing. It's the perfect scenario for someone like me who wanted to avoid all the marketing but realistically couldn't for a variety of reasons. And that just leaves me so excited, because I'm gonna go into that cinema and genuinely not know where the story's gonna go. And for an Avengers film, I think that's pretty awesome. We see more of the snap-affected world, which yeah, I know it's an unrealistic superhero world and everything, but I really would have expected Earth to look more ruined, especially if this is after a time jump of a few years. Like I mentioned before, not only half the humans disappeared, but also half the animals, which I feel like would just ruin everything and make Earth uninhabitable in some way. But again, whatever, it's not meant to be like the real world. It's totally fine. Cap is still looking depressed. I like this shot a lot, with this text next to their support meeting, I suppose. And I really like this line.
Some people move on, but not us.
It's nice to finally hear some hope from these heroes after they've been looking depressed and everything else. Like yeah, we're gonna take care of this. Tony and Nebula are working on the ship, making something, which feeds into my theory, or really hope, that Tony gets out of this by making something out of scraps, much like he did in the first Iron Man. I love that idea. And this is probably a bit of a stretch, but this shot where we see the Avengers gathered on the lawn, looking at something in the sky, could be them seeing Tony and Nebula arriving from space. Because Tony can build insane stuff, and Nebula knows all about crazy space portals, so combined, maybe they could find a way back to Earth? Then again, it could also be almost anything else. Rocket shows up at what looks like some cabin by the ocean. I can't put together where this is, but it seems like maybe it's the same place Natasha is shooting, so maybe it's some Avengers facility they set up. Scott and Rhodey suit up together for battle. Not much to say here. I mean, it's nice to see a little bit of superheroing in this Avengers trailer, even if it's very brief and minor. This shot of Thor has led a lot of people to say he's on that planet that Thanos retired to. I don't think so. This looks more like it's Wakanda to me, or at the very least, not Thanos' planet. I could be wrong, but these don't look the same to me. Ronan is somewhere, again, not sure where this is. And then the penultimate shot is Cap tightening the shield strap, which first of all, his hands look real dirty here, like he's been in some kind of fight. Surprise, Captain America will do some fighting in this film. But more importantly, the shield's back. Or maybe a new shield that just looks like the old one, but whatever.
Prototype for Cap's new shield.
I love that shield, and while the new ones were cool in their own way, and honestly probably more practical, you can't beat the classic. And then finally, this glorious sunrise shot. I mean, that just looks amazing. And also, the sun rising is symbolic of them coming to the end of their darkest time and returning to the light. Again, overanalyzing 30 seconds, but I like the shot. We've got Cap with the shield, Thor, Black Widow, Rocket, Scott, and Rhodey walking presumably towards some kind of time travel device, or something that'll lead them to battle. I don't know where Banner is. And who knows, maybe Ronan and Stark and Nebula are actually there, because Marvel can insert or remove anything with CGI now. Who knows? It's an awesome shot though. So yeah, still excited for Endgame, in case that wasn't clear. So those are my thoughts on the trailers from the Super Bowl this year. What did you think of these? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, check out my Instagram and Twitter at BHL_Hudson, check out this podcast about movies and TV and whatnot I do with a friend of mine, it's called The Poorly Planned Podcast, and subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.